Welcome back to Cox Connections, exclusively on Cox 9 Roanoke. I'm Kim Stanley. At Cox, we pride ourselves in offering you the most state-of-the-art technology. Sometimes, though, it can be confusing. So to stem that confusion, Cox Field Service Supervisor Ted Williams and Field Service Technician Andrew Hale are in the studio to give us a demonstration. Thank you both for stopping by today.
Thank you.
Well, technology is definitely changing. It's getting more complex. So Andrew, why don't you talk to us about the Cox Remote and the digital service that we've added and how that all works together?
One of the things I wanted to bring to point is our new Cox Remote. That's a standard remote for all of our digital receivers. And as you can see up here, we have a few of the standard receivers. Our standard digital box and a newer upgraded digital box without the time display, and then of course our high definition box. With this remote, you have basic cable functions through the cable button, as you can see it light up under my finger, and this allows you access to turning the cable box on and off, as well as the functions and features through the remote. The TV button simply turns on and off the television set and allows you functions and features through your TV basic settings like volume and input or source.
All right, so why don't you troubleshoot for us, because this happens a lot. So what happens when the TV is on, but you have the wrong channel or there is no picture there?
Okay. A good example I'm going to show you here is, let's say your TV, as you can see now, is on, but for some reason a button has gotten pressed and you're on the wrong channel. You have no picture through your television set through your cable box. We're simply going to change it back to channel 3, which is the basic channel setting for allowing access to your cable box. Another option with that is your TV source, and we're going to talk about that further in a few minutes.
Okay. And then Ted, why don't you talk to us about input? So what does input mean?
Sure. When you're looking at your cable remote control, you can actually see what Andrew has shared with you is the TV and the cable button. To access the input button, you would want to hit your TV button. This is going to access the input on your TV, and you would use the button down here that says input. That's how you would access whatever input. Obviously, if you don't have a picture, you're on the wrong input, and we would need to change to a different input.
Okay. So how do we go from one input to another?
Okay. If you look at your remote, again, we want to make sure to access the TV functions, you want to make sure you hit TV first, and then you're going to hit the input button down here at the bottom, which I'm going to go ahead and hit. And when you hit the input button, it's going to change. And right now we're on video 1. So when we hit the input button again, you'll see that it changes to video 2 where there's nothing in there. So you want to continue to hit the input button repeatedly until your programming comes back up. We're on video 3, there's still nothing. So when we get to video 4, we're back to our regular programming.
Okay.
So that's what you want to make sure you can do. But to make sure you access it, you want to hit TV first and then your input button to change inputs on your television.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
That's great. So Ted, what are the basic digital functions, and then how does a viewer use those?
Okay. When you're looking at your remote control, what I'm going to show you, the basic digital functions really center around your guide feature most people use on the remote. So to access that, to make sure you have control of your remote control, you want to make sure you hit the cable button first. If you hit a button and you can't access it, make sure you hit that button, and that'll give you access to all your functions on the remote. The first button here is your guide button. If you hit the guide button, it's going to pull your guide up on the screen. The way you navigate through your guide button is these buttons around the remote control. There's arrow buttons. You can arrow up and down or left or right. So if we want to arrow down, you can see that we're moving down the screen to different channels. So we're going to go to channel 7 as an example, TBS. To watch that channel, you would hit the select button in the center if you want to watch that station. Now let's say you wanted to see what's coming on later in the morning. So we would actually scroll left or right. So we're going to scroll to the right, and we're going to go like to The Price is Right as an example at 11 o'clock on channel 7. So you can see what's coming on in the future.
Okay.
So if we want to exit out of that, so we're not just going to watch whatever we were watching before, you would hit the exit button, and that's going to take you back to your normal programming. So let's go back into the guide feature just real quick a second so I can explain another function. You can see at the bottom here of the TV, you can see different letters, A, B, and C. As an example, you got time, theme, and title. And they correspond with the buttons on your remote control, A, B, and C as well. So as an example, if we're on, let's scroll back up to channel 7, which is Live with Regis and Kelly. And we're going to hit select, and that would view it. But before we do that, we're going to hit C for title. And what that's going to do, when we hit the C button, it's going to take us and actually pull up that programming and sort in alphabetical order those programs for us, so we can actually view that information as well. And to exit out, you would just simply hit the exit button, and that would take you back to your original programming.
Okay.
So that's kind of the basic features, and Andrew will go into a little bit more of that as we go forward.
Okay. And just real quick, I did notice that you do have to point the cable remote at the cable box.
Yes, you're right. As you can see, if it doesn't change for you at first, make sure you aim it correctly at the box, and it'll change at that point.
Okay. All right. Andrew, so now let's talk about the operations of the cable remote.
There's some other operations of a standard digital cable remote. Going into, there's a DVD setting where you can program your DVD to operate through this remote. There's an auxiliary where you can use a stereo surround sound or some component such as that. Other functions and features is, let's say, the menu, which is on the remote. Now, I'm currently on the TV menu, so I need to go back and exit that and get back to my cable menu. So I hit cable on the remote and then go into menu there. And this allows me, first of all, an interactive menu with specific channel and viewing options, and then hit it again, and this allows me for settings of the individual cable box that I'm working with. For example, setting up favorite channels. As you go down through here, there's other options like parental controls for specific viewing or viewing options there. With the exit button on my remote, I simply exit out of there and I'm back to my original programming. A few of the last options there are the last button, which takes you to the previous channel viewed. For example, our Live with Regis and Kelly. I hit last again, and it takes me back to the channel I was on before. And then, of course, mute, which mutes out the audio, as you can see right here.
All right, well, a lot of great things. We're really out of time now, but just real quick, Ted, because On Demand is just so exciting and so much going on. Can you quickly show us On Demand?
Absolutely. If you look on your remote control, there's a button at the very top that says On Demand. That's the easiest way for us to access On Demand.
Okay.
Very simple. You just hit that button, and that's actually going to take us to the On Demand screen, which is channel 1. So we can hit 01 to get to it, or we get on to On Demand. From here, you just follow the buttons just like you do with the guide. Use your arrow buttons up and down. As an example, if we move up to free zone, you would use the select button, hit select, and then we can scroll to a specific area of movies you want to watch. For example, health and wellness, and you would hit select, and that would get you into your On Demand. And to exit, you would just exit out, and you're back to your original programming.
That's great. Well, very informative. We could go on and on because there's so many things out there, but thank you so much. This gives us a good start, and hopefully you'll come back and we can take this even further. But thank you for stopping in.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Right. Still to come, learn how Virginia Western Community College is helping Roanoke Valley students get a college education.